Welcome Libra to your in-depth monthly forecast for July 2025. Your ruler Venus is right at the heart of the cosmic action this month, but also Venus rules or governs the 7th house, which is where you have the mighty Neptune and Saturn, and they're both going into retrogrades this month, but they're going to be forging a very constructive angle to Venus and also Uranus as they both jointly move on the 4th and the 7th into the air sign of Gemini. Now for you, that's very much about freedom. So with Neptune going retrograde on the 4th and Saturn starting his retrograde on the 13th, if there is a relationship which isn't working very well for you, the desire for personal space, independence and freedom could be extremely strong, but it doesn't have to be that way. It could be an opportunity for you to reimagine a relationship, but perhaps just giving each other permission to pursue some of your own independent interests. So if we go back right to the start of the month, the sun is in a very authoritative part of your chart. The chances are what you do for a living, how you connect to the world at large, your goals and ambitions are going to be in focus. Interestingly, through week 1, Mars, the planet of desire, locked away in your 12th house, is linking well with the sun. Is someone from your past professionally going to be in contact? It wouldn't be a surprise. Or perhaps your past experiences and knowledge can now be manifested in some kind of new and fresh way, because right at the start of this month, your ruler Venus is in a conjunction with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And of course, Uranus has been there 4 times since March 2019, but it hasn't been a particularly easy journey, especially when it comes to long-term finances, anything to do with very close or intimate relationships, because of course Uranus likes space, likes freedom, but also can be a little erratic. So the fact that they do crest together right at the start of this month may provide some kind of revelation around those areas, some extra clarity. Maybe you're going to have a very magnetic connection to someone, because the 8th house can be where things get very hot and very intense. But then that shift with Neptune going retrograde, if you have got doubts about a relationship, Neptune could emphasize them. But on the 4th, Venus moves into Gemini. It's bubbly here, it's flirtatious. It's brilliant if you're traveling anywhere, or you get the urge to do so rather spontaneously when Uranus plays catch up for the first time in 84 years, arriving in Gemini on the 7th. But what Uranus is going to do is link back to Saturn and Neptune, but also back to Pluto in the part of your chart that's to do with expressing your heart's desire. So I feel something really exciting can shape up for you, and with the sun in such an assertive area, that can give you the confidence to take some steps forwards. In fact, in week 2, Mercury, which starts this month in a very friendly, interactive, networking part of your chart, although going into its pre-retrograde shadow on the first day, forges a fantastic link to Venus, your ruler. There may be an option to get together with a group of people, a sudden invitation which delights you. Maybe someone in your social circle is going to take on a greater fascination for you. But I think the 10th and the full moon could be somewhat more challenging. That high in the sky sun is challenged by the moon in the part of your chart to do with your immediate emotional needs, but in the sign of Capricorn, which doesn't work so well with the moon. The moon here is detrimented. Fortunately, the nodal axis does play into this particular lunation, but if something is out of kilter between your worldly interactions and what you're getting from it, how much you're enjoying it in terms of your soul connection, or perhaps the needs of people close to you, whether it's older folks in your family, younger folks, some kind of rebalancing might be necessary, which of course is something that's quite central to your nature. The 13th, however, could be a bit tougher, because through to the end of August, Saturn in the sign of Aries is going to be retracing its steps. It will then rewind on the 1st of September back into the practical 6th house, where it's been for the last couple of years and has been rather tiring and has seen you have a lot of onerous responsibilities. But if you do need to put a boundary in, if you need to reinforce something that's important for you, if you feel that someone's perhaps taking you a little bit too much for granted, Saturn can be an asset. But on the 18th, a long-term plan may need some further thought as Mercury goes into its retrograde in the sign of Leo through to the 11th of August. When it comes to your social plans, those could be somewhat fluid. But as I'm always saying with Mercury retrogrades, don't see it only as a negative. It can also be an opportunity. But you could find yourself having a change of heart about something. But on the 22nd, the sun rises into Leo, which it rules, it loves being here, supports Mercury. And we do have a new moon on the 24th. It's very complex. On the whole, I think it's very positive. It links brilliantly to Neptune and Saturn and also Uranus and back to Pluto. So we've got a golden triangle. Incredibly rare, but because Pluto and the Sun are in opposition, if there is some politics in your world, whether it is around your love life, whether it is around where you want to assert your command or control over a situation because you feel you need to and someone resists that, some kind of power dynamic could play out. In fact, on the 30th, we have the third retrograde in your sector of relationships. So I think it's possible that if you are in a relationship that isn't quite working, with Chiron retrograde through to the 2nd of January next year, the need to rethink things, particularly with Mercury retrograde as well, is probably very strong, especially with Uranus and Venus at this stage in very independent, freedom-loving parts of your chart. However, Venus does end the month moving to the very top of your chart, and whatever it is you're dealing with, your natural diplomacy can definitely be an asset. But also there is a Mercury cazimi on the last day too, an inferior conjunction as the Sun and Mercury meet together in Leo. That will help you to perhaps get clearer about what you need to do if there has been some uncertainty. But I think relationships generally may be an area that are going to require some care, patience, persistence, but perhaps also resetting. Or is it resetting your boundaries? Sometimes the 7th house isn't just about relationships, it is about competitors. It can be where we need to be combative, as well as perhaps take on people who are our challengers. But it also gives you a chance to show, after those long Pluto in Capricorn years, what you have learned and assert what you truly need. So I think with your ruler Venus spending much of this month in a freedom-loving area, your relationships need to be very authentic and truthful for them to keep going forwards, or else that could be the area of rethinking. But it doesn't have to be a romantic tie. It could be around any kind of relationship at all. If you'd like to work with me directly and have a particular issue that would benefit from a one-to-one, please see my testimonials below. But also with year 2025 absolutely racing by, you can order your year 2026 personal forecast now, and I'll give you in my special offer the rest of this year free. You'll also get 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, possibly the most important document any of us can ever read, helping us to understand the patterns that are playing out in our lives so far, getting a more intimate understanding of how to work with those energies, and together with the forecast, then timing our moves as best as possible for good outcomes in our situation. Please see the link below for more.